All right,
What the fuck, Jared?
switching gears quite a bit. I don't
What
think
the
I've ever
fucking fuck, Jared?
I don't think I've ever chosen two more disparate movies.
No, that's true. There's no
So
theme
Like,
here this week.
before these whiners start whinging, I really liked it, but I
oh,
hate
cool.
to enter the void too.
I have 25 francs on here for that. I didn't announce it, but
Okay.
this is one of the most remarkable films I've seen in quite a while. This really changed a lot of my perceptions of how you can put together a film. This was like we had the credits that ran end to beginning. It
Hmm.
was broken down into several very long sequences and then lots of lockoffs. And you let the characters develop naturally inside these little lockoffs, and it's just the culmination. And it is. It's
And the
like
opening credits in the middle of the film.
yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
it's like it's this is dialectics. It's like you there this plus LSD equals what happens at the end. And I thought that it was just remarkable. It was like one of the most remarkable. I guess I can't say enough about this film. It's just it's really it's a work of art. It really is.
And the horror that really worked for me was the poor kid in the electrical
Oh,
closet.
Well, yeah, that was he was there with the was it what do they call it? Chekhov's electrical panel.
Yeah, it was
Don't
oh
touch
Chekhov's
the
God.
panel,
electrical.
Sonny. He goes like, oh, you know what's going to happen.
She says, "Yeah, don't touch the panel or I'll kill you."
But it was
Oh.
also great because it was like the anticipation story is like you have the people interviewing on the TV without talking about maybe part of this whole thing, and their stories are all just little individual little stories. They don't tie
Yeah.
together in any way, and none of us weighted any different from anybody else. They're just like they have their own reasons for being there. They're all talking about their backgrounds, and at the beginning, it's like you're not really kind of knowing who the lead was and how
Or who to root
that
for?
overall narrative is going to flow. And then you find out it's like really
Well,
surprising.
yeah, because I mean, he basically gave them leave to just improvise their
Yeah.
parts.
There's
Well,
only one actor in this
there's
whole
only
movie.
one
Apparently
actor in the
the
whole movie.
script was like 4 or 6 pages or
It
something.
was like
pages.
five pages.
And
Yeah.
5 French pages too.
Ah,
So that's like
Yeah, French A4.
yeah, A5, right. But I was very, very, very
I'm like,
impressed.
did I see the same fucking movie?
Chris,
Okay.
I was dying listening to Scott and
I know you were.
praise the film.
Well, I mean, like, what I'll say is yes.
I was watching Chris's face.
There are some. There are
He
yeah.
just
Like
doesn't understand
the
horror.
longest track. The shot that starts with the punch bowl. I think it's like 42 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes, that is like.
Well, no. There's the whole thing with that and the dance sequence.
I
That's
think this is a
17
very
minutes.
ugly movie. I think this is. I mean, it's just the lighting is ugly. The sets are ugly. It's grind. I mean, like that was probably by design. Yes, he's got it. He's got these tricks he keeps doing. I'm gonna put the camera on the ceiling now, and like I'm gonna lock it down, and they're gonna do a dance sequence, and it's all very impressive technically, I guess, because I'm sure the rehearsals must have been amazing. But I don't know who to root for. There's really not much of a
That's
plot.
okay.
I've got a lot of acid in my life.
Chris, that's the point. You don't know who to root for.
Like the
It's a
scene, there's
mystery
a scene
with no perpetrator.
where it's just these two assholes talking horribly about women.
These guys,
for like
yeah.
10 minutes. I've been on a lot of acid in my life. I've never been on obviously this kind of acid because
But have you been spiked before?
Yeah, have you?
no, I can't say I've ever been spiked.
Well,
So
and they
but I
kept
think here's the
drinking
thing, they
it.
know
Like
they've
the,
been spiked. Like
there's
it'd
no
be one thing to
regulation
wait
of
for,
how
why
much
am I
they're
feeling
taking.
like this? But they figure out pretty quickly that they've been spiked.
Right.
And then you
Yeah.
put like, okay, I'm on fucking heavy drugs right now. I just got to ride this shit out. I don't like. I don't really. I really did not know who to root for. Do I care about it? Do I care? I mean, again, technically, yes, but I don't know what this movie is about. So I'm just
about,
like sitting there.
2 hours
Everybody's
long.
got to check
Film is
out.
This film is about stepping away from your need for narrative. Get back 2, 3 steps. Notice when the credits running upside down, backwards, beginning to end, kind of thing.
Sure.
That's what it's giving you a message. Don't
Well,
open yourself to a new experience because
I know that you
well,
were-
that's the word. I think it's about experience.
yeah.
Well, and I get Scott. You've been like you're the one that picked Baccara or whatever, like the pure
Baraka.
cinema.
Oh, yeah.
Baraka. You could look at the
Oh, I thought that was a great movie.
About pure cinema in this.
Yeah, but that was pretty. I don't know. Like this, I just found this. I found this to be impressive technically, but kind of generally ugly on multiple levels.
okay.
But
And I really like
this is so
her.
weird
I
coming
like-
from you, Chris, because you you
I like
dislike
her and
old-timey
everything.
movies,
Yeah, she's great.
and yet
Oh, we almost had the same.
you
We had the same shot
dislike
almost. That's pretty
What
great.
about
two-timers.
what'd you think of the dancing, Chris? Did you like the dancing?
I mean, again, a little of that went a long way. Like if you added up and hit the stopwatch and how many times I've got to like sit there and watch dance sequences, regardless of whether or not it's impressive and very well choreographed. And like there's that one scene where they put the camera on the ceiling, and that felt like it went on for like 20 minutes.
Oh, but it was so
Again,
hypnotic.
Well,
Sure.
you weren't like this because when they're going, the camera's going straight down, everyone's going in the middle and doing a dance.
Yeah.
It becomes a common expression of form because when they jump up and down, you're seeing human beings from a new angle, and they look alien. They look like all
Yeah.
arms and legs and hair flying around. It's like it is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's
And
like,
it was really well, I'll wait. You guys can go.
it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's like try that angle, see how it works, and you get this distanciation. It's like these are people, but they don't look like people. They look
Especially
like
when they
monsters.
jump like toward the
I know
camera.
like,
That was
bigger,
killer.
smaller, boom, boom. Where they lay down, it's like you feel like there's like the floor's coming up at them. It's like
Yeah.
the
It's crazy
perspective was
looking.
astounding. I thought in that scene, it was just really well
And I
done.
think a lot of those shots were drones because there was a couple of drone companies.
There
in the
were
trailer.
Yeah, there were. That's right.
There's some outdoor stuff.
Especially the opening stuff, the opening thing.
Yeah,
I guess they got snow for only 2 days and they just ran out. He took advantage. He was like, let's get that
Ran out.
opening. Yeah, he ran out and put the actors go out and get the drone up in the air. And yeah.
I think the opening scene was a throwaway though. That had nothing to do with the plot. I don't remember.
Well,
You
it's
mean, which scene?
I don't remember.
it's
introducing all
the-
the
girl in the
characters.
snow.
it's the pregnant girl walking
Oh,
away
the
after she
pregnant
cut
girl,
herself
yeah.
up.
Oh, and then she
Yeah,
went
yeah.
outside and died.
Yeah. Well, how
That was good special effect on her cutting herself. It
how
looked
many
like-
of them
Yeah.
are dead at the end of this movie?
Not all of them, like a handful.
Not all of
Yeah.
them, but a lot of them, right?
Still
But none of
dancing
them.
to
No one OD'd on LSD because you can't do that. They actually
You can't
like
OD on
like
LSD.
shock themselves to death or
You can hurt yourself and
Probably
others.
there's
That's-
probably like 5 people that
Yeah.
died.
yeah.
Look,
And the guy went out in the snow and froze.
Well,
and-
Omar dies in the snow.
Yeah.
But it was like I was just it was if you want your films to be surprising, this was a very surprising.
I mean, I never knew where it was going to go. I guess that's surprising.
and
I
also
just-
I'm gonna actually kind of question the fact that you think this film is ugly.
I thought it was.
This film was like 17, maybe 15 to 17 of the most beautiful looking people I've ever seen. It's like
That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about like the lighting.
dressed in
colors.
clubwear or dancewear. You can't make a bad movie with like a dozen hot people in this.
But I know what Chris is talking about. I know what you're talking about,
Green,
Chris.
Green, orange, and brown is a particular color combination that I find unappealing on multiple levels, and there's a lot.
Which is kind of funny because that's actually the same color palette as Amelie.
Yeah. Well, that's,
Exact
is,
color
yeah.
palette.
Yeah, I didn't notice it as much in that one.
Well, it's different because Amelie is shot through rose-colored glasses, whereas this is shot through like the bottom of an ashtray.
yeah.
Like
Also, this
you,
is
you know, like
the film has some weird color
Perfectly put.
throughout the entire thing. That the stage with the blue, white, and red, and it's like
but I think you're right, Chris. By design, he wants this to be gritty. It's
the dance
Yeah.
floor itself is actually kind of plainly lit. You know, you can see it like the normal, but when they go away from there, the lounge area is all green and the hallways are blue, and it's like it's all just super
Well,
saturated.
they have the fluorescent lights. when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go
And
to
it's like you
the-
can tell
they set
stuff up.
and if you think about it, it makes sense. But I did read, of course, that this is the type of film where they had to light that entire thing and just leave it because they were going.
right.
You can't bring lights in and out on that set. So it's
No,
just like
imagine
they
that.
lit it all with the colors they wanted and the wattage they wanted and placed the lights where they wanted, and then they just went.
No, I don't look again. That 42-minute track, the 42-minute shot at the end. I was like, I don't know how the fuck they pulled this off. How many times did they?
I was looking for the hidden cuts, and there's a few.
There probably is when he's
There's
going to
hidden
black,
cuts in there.
but
It's a little bit like 1917. If you've ever seen it.
also,
Yeah, I like
for those
Or,
shots like that,
Uh-huh.
what is it called? The Ark, the Russian one. That's
Yeah, Russian Ark,
Russian
Ark.
Ark. Yeah.
and also Victoria from
Yeah.
I think 2014 is all one take, and it's 84 minutes, I believe. That's the longest. It's either that or Russian Ark are the longest.
I think Russian Ark is the longest.
It might be. I think that's like 93 minutes, maybe more.
Yeah.
But I think what's also cool is Gaspar Noé himself does most of the camera work when it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
what
then you
did-
wonder, like, was
And
he?
compared to like the only other film of his I've seen is Enter the Void.
Yeah.
Has a very different color palette and
Yeah.
feel to it.
That's more of like a neon,
It could have been called
Yeah.
that.
like a pastel. or
Yeah.
like or like a
And a lot
highlighters,
of
like
rapid
highlighter
cutting.
colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel when the last end of the film when the camera went upside down and everything went red?
At that point, it's a Bosch painting to me.
Well, that's
Mm.
exactly right. But it's the point I was getting at. It's like all of a sudden he starts going to like this weird allegorical. This is what hell looks like. People are
Yeah.
our stalactites are hanging from the ceiling and screaming and
Yeah.
writhing, and it's like,
Yeah.
fuck. It's like,
At that point,
Well, there's that weird scene where the cops come in with the dog,
Mhm.
and there's a woman, and it's like, oh, she's hanging upside down, and then it's like, oh no, she's just standing there.
Yeah, I know. It's right. It
because
fucks with you a little bit. It's great.
it's
Uh-huh.
confusing.
Yeah.
And I again, like I'm sort of struggling because I get that there is yes, this is like a cinematic equivalent of a Bosch painting, and I usually like that kind of stuff. So why did I find this movie so sort of generally off-putting? I can't quite put my finger on, but I mean, a lot of it is I didn't connect with any of these characters, and I don't know that we're supposed to, and so all my reaction might be by design. So yay, mission accomplished.
Maybe that's possible.
Did you connect with the people in the first movie?
Yeah, but
I never
those
connect
are
with
cartoon
anything.
characters.
Well,
Yeah.
Those are
to
fucking
that,
cartoon characters.
but to that, Chris, I will say, because I think that's a valid point. Every point is valid if it's your opinion.
Oh, yes. All
But
movies are
And all
good.
films are good.
all movies are good. But I will say this: I think this movie is more like a monster movie in that regard, where you don't have to identify with the people, you just don't want them to be in trouble anymore. So it's like
Oh, nice.
like
It's kind of like
you
a
know,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre film where you know these guys are going to get sawed up and you
Well,
want them to get
that's
free.
the opening, the interview scene that was behind you a second ago. Like that is every horror movie, like
Yeah.
especially every found footage horror movie. Here's a parade
Yeah,
of
like-
people who are going to be slaughtered in the next 90 minutes.
Yeah.
well, for instance,
much.
one of my guilty pleasures or weak spots. There are some good ones like Jaws, but are shark films. I love shark films. Usually they're awful,
90
Yeah.
but I'll
minutes.
watch all of them. And I watched that one, The Shallows or whatever, with Blake
I like that
Lively.
movie.
She's
Yeah, that was a
horrible.
fun film actually.
but it's a fun movie.
Sharknado.
And the thing is my critique of that movie, there were two. The ending was really dumb, but the first critique was you don't need to give her a backstory. It's her versus the shark. Like that's the story. Like we don't need to know that she has like a boyfriend or whatever, that her mom is dead or whatever the stupid
she's
shit
some
was.
rich weirdo
We're
hanging
already
out by
on her
herself
side
and-
because she's stuck out there with a shark that's trying to kill her.
Yeah,
like-
pretty much.
Right.
So
That
all
was
of
like my objection with Gravity was like, I don't need to know Sandra Bullock.
yes,
story.
same exact thing,
She's
John.
stuck on the space station. Is she
They
gonna
get hit by
Exactly.
asteroids in like 15 minutes. It's
You
just do
nailed
something.
it. Gravity is
Exactly.
the other one, exactly like that. So anyway, in that vein, I feel like I like the beginning of this because they are literally interviewing for this gig that we're about to see.
Mhm.
But you don't, or I would just, I don't think you're wrong, but my point would be like you just feel for them because they're human and you don't want them to go through this horror.
Right. I think
Even though they're not, I mean, maybe they're not great people, but they're just being honest, and also they're a different culture than us.
Yeah.
And also, this took place in the 90s. So,
Yeah.
like, they were not as, like, this is very progressive for 90s, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Like, these
There's
mentalities,
a
like,
great
this
bit in
much.
the middle with Soft Cell that was really nice to play in the background.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, this many sort of LGBTQ people
It's unusual
for the 90s.
90s. Yeah,
You wouldn't
well,
see
in the
that.
dance world. Who knows,
2018.
right? You
In the dance world, yeah.
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 Hold on,
So-
this movie came out in 2018.
Yeah,
Yes,
but it takes
that-
place in
that-
1996.
This film is actually based on a French urban myth, urban
Yeah.
legend.
Yeah.
Did
know
you
that.
hear about that dance troupe that went in the thing? They all took it. They got dosed LSD and they all died. That was
Mhm.
like it never happened, but everyone keeps talking about.
But it
in
was, but
France.
that came up in the 90s. It was a
Yeah.
myth that came up. And so it's
Yeah,
like,
and
it's urban folklore in
It's urban
France.
folklore, and he has actually made a movie about this urban folklore.
That kind of makes sense.
That's weird. But one of the things, like, I finished the film, and you know who the villain is at the end. It's Psyche, the German gal, the big moosey German gal.
This is
Yeah.
putting
I was
LSD in
gonna
her
say-
eye.
She drops in her eyes.
Guess what? The
Watch the
German's the
beginning again, and-
evil one.
Wait, what was that? I missed that.
I knew Jim would like that. No.
Yeah.
So I went back and watched the beginning again. And it's like, if you watch the beginning again after you know she's the bad guy, it's really apparent. I mean, and in her interview, she just admits it. It's like, oh,
Yep.
boy, I got away with my boyfriend. He was doing it with LSD in his eyes, and
She says it
and
right
she-
to your face.
Then later on, when she
Right.
does her dancing, in the middle of the thing, she's missing for the first 5 minutes. Then she shows up, this big moosey German girl doing with in her bikini, doing the middle thing. It's like she does not blend in ever in this film.
Right.
Yeah,
she's also the only one that literally pees
He peed on the floor.
on the
Yeah, on
floor.
the floor. And she's the only one who speaks English really well.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, her
she's
girlfriend does
German.
too, kind of.
Yeah, I know. Mhm.
But I feel like that peeing was like marking my like I'm in
Yeah.
control here. Like
Right.
this is my territory.
Or this is no big deal to me. I'm just going to do this because.
Or
this is
yeah,
what-
like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like she
Yeah.
can handle this trip because she's used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
the thing is,
also everyone
this-
else, they have no regulation of how much of that they're drinking, by the way, because they don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you're
can you
supposed to
imagine
take however much, you know.
that little kid got a hold of it. It's like, oh fuck. It's like
Oh.
that's bad. So that's a bad. And also having him screaming in that thing while these scenes
Oh
were
God,
going
the
on.
screaming.
Oh my
That's
God,
right.
that was like
With
that was
With
horrific.
so much screaming.
cockroaches.
Oh Jesus.
Well, wait, John, you were going to say something earlier, and we
Yeah,
probably
John,
cut you off.
please,
John's
John,
been
this-
super thoughtful about this film.
Well, I'm just waiting because I know everybody would have a lot to say about it, and
You think?
I'm coming. Yeah, we're divided here because I'm more on Chris's side with this movie. To me, knowing Gaspar Noé's reputation, I talked about this recently. I said there's so many directors I know by reputation, and I haven't actually seen their film, and I'm glad that we're getting to see them
That's right.
via yelling about movies. So here's one I can check off the list. Now I've seen a Gaspar Noé movie, right? So I went in apprehensive. It's like, this is going to be intense. This is going to be hard to take, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I was primed. But the longer it went on, the less seriously I took it. And when the lady's hair caught on fire, I laughed. So I think Gaspar, for me, kind of whiffed it for me. I was like, I just...
Sociopath.
It's so over the top that I just took it less and less seriously. So I was super apprehensive at the beginning. And then as I sort of settled in and realized what he was doing, I took it less and less seriously. I think there are definitely things to admire technically about what they did, and the fact that it's improvised and they chased the actors around with a camera and they did these long takes and, you know, the camera on the ceiling and all that. But the opening sequence where the dancers are being interviewed goes on way too long, and they say nothing of interest. None of them say anything interesting. Then the opening dance sequence is good, but it's kind of long. Then there's the scene where they just get high or they're partying and they put this camera on the ceiling and they dance, and that is way fucking too long. I was just like, oh my God, it's so goddamn long. And then there's the next section of the movie where everybody comes on acid and starts freaking out, and that goes on a really long time. And there's so much screaming and running around, and then the camera's upside down, and it's still upside down for some reason when the cops show up, and I don't know. I don't get it. And it's ridiculous. The best thing about it is the credits and the opening credits come in 40 minutes late. I loved that. I thought that was clever. Also
It is like
every single
Monty
actor's name in
Python
a
episode.
font in like gold-plated letters coming up. That was cute.
Oh, he
Yeah,
put his name there like 5 times. Along with
Gaspar
directors
is-
he likes.
Yeah, Gaspar is notorious for his credits. He uses the same font for certain things, and then he'll use, like in Enter the Void, Jim, he used every single different kind of font to do for the title that you could think. I mean, it's almost like you know, John, it'd be like you like searching, you know, you're searching down the whole list of just, and he puts that in the movie. Like
I'll just use them all.
Yeah, he's like, I'm doing all of them.
And then there was the one that Chris had behind him when the episode started. What does it say?
Oh, this thing.
Jesus.
Death is extraordinary experience.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Jean-Luc Godard, you are not. That is fucking dumb.
They got the subtitles upside down. I don't know how they did that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You actually had to turn the camera upside down for that.
No, I'm talking about the subtitles. You know, the generated subtitles.
Well, it was like that the whole movie on HBO Max. The fucking subtitles are upside down. I don't know how they did that either.
Yeah, it's pretty
They
weird.
are?
I have no idea.
I
how they
didn't
did
see that.
It's really
I didn't
strange.
notice that.
Oh, this shit.
I missed that.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't watch it
that,
on
yeah.
Max. I watched it on.
I noticed it because they held it longer than you needed to read
I
it.
don't know.
Yeah, that's on purpose. Yeah, for sure.
I just
Yeah,
don't.
'cause it's
I
upside
did not
down.
feel a pull towards a traditional narrative in this film, and I knew that he was trying to do something different, and I got a lot out of it that way. I thought that it was such an experiment and such a kind of an expression of motion and color and you know, horror, if you like,
Mhm.
and you know, that kind of thing. That it's just like I was fascinated by it. The longer it went on, the more interested I was in the film. And you know, I know about Gaspar Noé. You know, I know about Gaspar Noé. Fucking goose egg. I don't know nothing about him. I know he's a name. You know, I didn't look him up. I didn't like see what kind of film he's made. I just jumped into this cold. So that's
Which is the best way. See, and you can really, sort of ruin an experience if you have too much. We've all been victim of this, and John to a certain extent with this particular movie,
Right.
sort of just having a preconceived notion about, and it's not anyone's fault. It's just that's what happens.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
we
true.
live in the world. Blah blah blah.
Right,
There are
right.
there are some filmmakers like that, like Paul Thomas Anderson. You don't know about him. See one of his films, it's like, what the fuck was that all about? It's like, and so it's like it's it's the thing. It's just if you know the style or you don't. You know what I mean? I know his style at all. This is his style. More power to him because
A lot of style.
he makes no sense. I love it. That's great.
Yeah,
Well, I think he's more about
linear narratives are overrated.
Yeah.
They are. Thank you,
This is-
Jim. Thank you.
And again, to quote Dad, this movie's got the most style.
Got a lot of style.
Oh,
Does
dude,
have
you want to
style.
talk about style points? Talking with all the hot actors first and moving on to the dancing. This is 1,000% style. I
Also,
mean,
what kind of acid did they take? Because Sheila had the line at the end of the movie. She was like, I passed a history test when I was on acid. So it's like,
Yeah,
I
it,
mean,
I'll tell you,
acid.
German acid, European
it
acid,
was
Yeah,
pharmaceutical
German.
acid. That's a
German
thing.
eyeball
on
acid.
that one.
eyeball acid, dude.
Also,
They ate a lot of acid.
it
I
had to
don't
have been
know
a big fucking dose because they hit a dozen kids with it, right? That shit dissipates quick.
And if you dump it in a big bowl of punch, yeah, it's got to be potent.
Oh man, I would never want to get dosed like that. That's like I've been on a couple of acid trips and you are out of control. Your brain is not in
Yeah, I
charge.
was
It's just
reminded
floating
of,
away. It's like that's not good, man. But
MK Ultra,
MK Ultra.
yeah.
where they
Jim,
were
do you have a corner
making
here? Or do you have anything to say about it, Jim?
Maybe it wasn't the German girl. Maybe it was the
people who worked
CIA.
for the CIA who were.
Yeah, there you
There you
go.
go.
It was the CIA testing.
Possibly, it's possible.
The French government did it.
The French government.
Oh, we know
Well,
the big,
they're-
the
they
big
come in
tricolor
as-
behind the stage. Maybe it was the French government.
Yes.
Yeah, think
Well,
about
they
it.
have comments about the flag in the movie too.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It
nationalism
was
about this.
fucking creepy.
In fact, there's a
Yeah,
lot.
they're like, I love France, but I'm done with that flag.
Yeah,
The
the
guy's
thing is
like-
that there's a lot of comments about like the black people's places in France and black people's
Yeah.
colored people, that kind of thing. It's like they're not treated well. They're all yearning to go to America where they're treated better.
Yeah.
Like, you had that conversation like 3 or 4 times in this film.
That's also another signifier of the '90s. Like they love America still, right? They're like,
yeah, they
"Wanna
did.
come
Back
over
then, they
here."
loved America a
Not
lot.
that they still
It's
probably, but,
amazing.
Not
yeah.
so much these days, but there it is.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Jim, do you have a corner? Are you done?
No,
Are you on LSD right now?
give you the thumbs now.
Because it looks like you're on the set of the film right now.
No, let me.
I am.
I think I'll try to not bore you guys. But the first time I saw, there you go. Yeah. The first time I saw a Gaspar Noé film, it was the movie. I'll wait until I was done dancing. No,
No, we're done. We're done.
it was the movie Irreversible,
I
and
refuse to watch that fucking thing.
because I remember, I'm I think Chris and I are sort of alike in this.
Yeah, but I won't go there. I will not watch that movie.
Well, so I was at like Video Droid or whatever, or Joe Video, and I'm walking, I'm looking at the releases, and you see the cover, and it's very striking because it's irreversible, and some of the lettering is backwards, and it's in that font that was behind Chris, and it's got Monica Bellucci on the cover, and she's lit in this darkly, and she's very voluptuous and sexy, but something's off, like something's wrong.
Yeah.
But the people at the video store had like handwritten a sticker out, and they put it on the box of the DVD, and it said, "You absolutely must be 18 to rent this movie." I like it. They wrote it on the thing.
And they're like, this is going to fly off the shelf.
And so I was like, give that to me now. I was like, I have to see that immediately. Right. And so I rented it. I watched it by myself. It's one of those, in the middle of the movie, I almost had to turn it off because first of all, I'd never seen anything like it. Second of all, what was happening was so disturbing that I was like, I don't know if I can take this. But I sat it out. And then by the end of the movie, I was like, kind of like how Scott was feeling after this. By the end of that movie, I was like, I have never seen a movie like that in my life. That was very disturbing, but that was a piece of art. That wasn't just a movie. That was a piece of artwork that I just got to watch, like a narrative piece of artwork. And I was like, what the hell else did this guy made? So I went and looked up his first movie, I Stand Alone, watched that, and then Enter the Void came out, which is I think still his most commercially successful. I
Really?
sat I
More
sat
than
and watched
this?
that. Well,
Yeah.
this is his most
This is most
palatable.
recent, right?
He did Vortex
This is
after
his most palatable movie?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, I got into him just because I do think, let's talk about Climax. I do think he is an artist in the truest sense of the word, in terms of like, this guy is not making anything for anybody. He's just making his art.
Yeah.
If you start to even watch, or just look at trailers or little clips if you want on YouTube, or if you dare to watch another one of his movies, you'll start to see these repetitions of like themes of like his color palette, and also his movies they're not all this gritty looking, by the way, Chris. They're not all this grimy looking. Some of them are quite beautiful actually, but you're not necessarily having a good time, I would say, but it's almost like going and watch, I don't know, you look at like a Francis Bacon painting and you're like, why is that fucking amazing?
Sure.
It's totally disturbing.
Right.
Or you said Hieronymus Bosch. I mean, that's kind of a cool comparison.
There's a Catholic
Like-
imagery and all over this thing. It's like this one.
yeah.
Part of it.
I
Is
just
he
feel like
a French kind of Terrence Malick in some ways. It's like
like
he's
a devil version of Terrence
bouncing
Malick,
off his own themes over and over again. That's a thing.
Yeah, and I just think that I'm always looking for somebody who has a very distinctive voice, somebody who is fearless, and somebody who just is a real artist. And I feel like this guy fits all those criteria.
Again, this hit the festival. It's like, okay, the credits are upside down and they're backwards, and like there's no discernible protagonist. So enjoy, and he did it. And it's like, and I love the audacity of the entire thing as well. Also, what hit me at the end of the film, when it was over, I was like, going, yeah.
And all of his movies are an experience. I mean, they are. So he did a movie called Love, which he shot in 3D. I never got to see it in 3D, but he released it in New York in the theaters in 3D, and it's a movie about sex, and it's all all the sex in the movie is real. It's all there's no simulation.
Yes, it's pornography basically. Yes,
it's pornography, but it's it's like beautifully photographed with real act. It's just crazy. It's like this high end. But there's a scene where I'll never forget this because I rented it. In 3D, I don't know what would have happened, but there's a shot from inside the vagina, like if you're looking out the vagina, and the penis head is coming at you like this.
Okay, well,
and then it comes, at the lens.
Okay,
and it's the whole frame, and it's
3D.
I don't know if you're selling this guy to me or not.
Like, but there was a part of me, even at home in 2D, I was like, oh my god, I was like, I had to I leaned back, in 3D, I can't imagine that.
No, you know what?
But
it sounds like it was designed for 3D. Okay,
he actually does it in Enter the Void too. He does it in both movies.
All right, good enough. So
anyway.
There it is.
I think he's a special filmmaker. He's not for everyone, but I think he's an artist.
Yeah,
Jimmy, this is kind of your reaction to the Guy Madden movie a couple of weeks ago is kind of my reaction here. It's like I get why we're getting positive reviews on this side of my screen, but it's not
your cup of tea. Yeah,
it's not for me. Thank you, Mr. Noé.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Which I think is totally.
I don't think he's polarizing. It's a polarizing film
For sure.
I think kind of like Godard, Godard hated when people liked his movies. He was like, oh, I gotta go make something that people aren't gonna like because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'll just cut some frames out.
Yeah, he's like, damn it, I just had one that people liked. I gotta go make one that people are gonna hate.
Yeah,
like.
All right, well, I guess we could go to cards.
I don't even know where my thumb is on this.
Seriously? So you're doing that like the whole?
No, I mean, like I'm listening to you guys, and like I again, could make more like John. Like maybe I admire it more than I like it. So
you can admire something and not like it. By the way,
I kind of I did not enjoy watching this. So I'm kind of like maybe like 40%.
It's not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Okay. So
all right, well,
down the middle, man. Down the middle.
A
little more positive than negative, but that's okay, man.
But now you can say you've seen one of his movies, and I think Scott nailed it with like the first 3 words he spoke, I think the third one was experience. And I
It was an
believe
experience. Yes.
that that's what this
That's the,
this
also
guy is
it helps
doing.
to